Picture two people, both earning $95,000 a year. Same city, same tax bracket, same starting line. 10 years from now, one of them has built a net worth north of $600,000 and the other is still living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where the money actually went. Same income, completely different outcome. This isn't a story about luck. It isn't a story about inheritance or a lucky stock pick or some secret only insiders get access to. It's something far less exciting and far more useful. A set of quiet, unglamorous rules that the wealthiest people in the world follow almost automatically. Rules that have nothing to do with how much you earn, and everything to do with how you think about money. Here's the uncomfortable truth researchers keep confirming. Decade after decade, income and wealth are not the same thing. Plenty of high earners, doctors, lawyers, executives pulling in $300,000 a year, end up with almost nothing to show for it by retirement. And plenty of people earning modest, ordinary salaries quietly retire as millionaires, sometimes without anyone in their life ever knowing. The difference isn't the paycheck. It's the operating system running underneath it. Today, we're breaking down 7 rules the top 1% actually live by, not the flashy stuff you see plastered across social media, but the quiet, boring, repeatable habits that separate people who build real wealth from people who simply look like they have it. Some of these will surprise you. A few of them might make you slightly uncomfortable, because they mean rethinking decisions you've probably already made. But by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the wealthiest people in the world often look the least wealthy, and what you can start doing differently starting today to close that gap. Let's get into rule number 1. Rule 1. They buy assets first, lifestyle second. Here's the single biggest divide between the wealthy and everyone else, and it has nothing to do with willpower. The average person gets paid, pays their bills, spends on lifestyle, and saves whatever happens to be left over, if anything is left over at all. The wealthy flip that order entirely. They get paid, they invest a fixed percentage immediately, automatically, before it ever has the chance to feel like spare money. And they build their lifestyle around what remains. This single reordering is often called paying yourself first, and it sounds almost too simple to matter, but the math behind it is enormous. Someone who automatically invests 20% of a $70,000 salary starting at age 25, earning a historically reasonable 8% average annual return, crosses $1 million before age 55 without a single raise, without a single lucky break. The habit alone does the work. The people who stay stuck tend to do the opposite. They treat saving as whatever's left after lifestyle, which means lifestyle expands to consume the entire paycheck almost every single time, no matter how much that paycheck grows. Rule 2. They treat debt like a tool, not a lifestyle. This one gets misunderstood constantly. The wealthy aren't debt-free. Many of them carry significant debt. The difference is what that debt is attached to. Debt used to acquire something that generates income or appreciates over time, a rental property, a business loan, a mortgage on an appreciating asset, is treated as leverage. Debt used to fund a depreciating lifestyle, a leased luxury car, credit card balances carried month to month, financing a vacation, is treated as a trap. The average American household currently carries thousands of dollars in revolving credit card debt at interest rates often above 20%. That's not leverage. That's a slow, quiet leak that undoes years of otherwise good financial decisions, one minimum payment at a time. The wealthy ask one question before taking on any debt. Is this going to make me money? Or just make me look like I have money? Everything else follows from the answer. Rule 3. They understand that taxes are the biggest expense of their life. So they plan accordingly. Most people spend more time comparing grocery store prices than they do thinking about how taxes affect their long-term wealth, Despite taxes often being the single largest expense across a person's lifetime, larger than housing, larger than food, larger than almost anything else combined, the wealthy don't necessarily pay lower tax rates through some secret loophole. What they actually do is far less mysterious. They use tax-advantaged accounts fully every single year, without fail. Retirement accounts, health savings accounts, education savings vehicles, because every dollar sheltered from taxes today is a dollar that gets to compound uninterrupted for decades. Someone contributing the maximum allowed to a tax-advantaged retirement account annually, starting in their mid-20s, can end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars more at retirement than someone contributing the same amount to a regular taxable account, purely because of the tax treatment, without changing the investment strategy at all. This isn't about aggressive tax avoidance. It's about not leaving free money on the table because nobody ever explained the rules clearly. Rule 4. They let time do the heavy lifting, not effort. There's a quiet belief the average person holds, often without realizing it, that building wealth requires constant, active effort, picking the right stock, timing the market correctly, working harder and longer than everyone else. The wealthy tend to believe something closer to the opposite. Once the right system is in place, automatic contributions, diversified low-cost investments, a long time horizon, the goal isn't to work harder inside that system. It's to interfere with it as little as possible. This is one of the most well-documented findings in behavioral finance. Investors who check their portfolios less frequently and trade less often tend to outperform investors who actively manage and adjust their holdings, largely because emotional decisions made during market swings tend to lock in losses and miss recoveries. The wealthy aren't smarter about picking investments. They're simply better at getting out of their own way and letting several decades of compounding do what compounding does. Rule 5. They spend deliberately, not automatically. This rule sounds like frugality. It isn't, and that distinction matters. The wealthy don't necessarily spend less money. Many of them spend quite a lot. What separates them is that their spending is intentional, tied to things that genuinely add value to their life, rather than automatic, driven by habit, boredom, or the desire to keep up with whatever their social circle happens to be doing. There's a specific psychological trap that keeps average earners stuck regardless of income level: lifestyle creep. Every raise, every bonus, every windfall quietly gets absorbed into a slightly nicer version of the same lifestyle. A bigger apartment, a newer car, more frequent takeout, until the higher income feels exactly as tight as the lower one did. The wealthy interrupt this pattern deliberately. When income rises, they increase their investing rate first, and only then decide, consciously, whether any of the increase should go toward lifestyle at all. Rule 6. They build multiple income streams before they need them. Relying on a single paycheck is one of the most common and most dangerous financial patterns among people who never build lasting wealth, regardless of how much that paycheck pays. The wealthy tend to build income diversification well before it becomes urgent. Rental income, dividend income, a side business, royalties, ownership stakes in something beyond their primary job. Not because any single stream needs to be massive, but because no single point of failure should be able to take down the entire financial picture. This matters more than most people realize. A job loss, a health issue, an industry downturn, any of these can devastate someone relying entirely on one income source, while barely registering for someone with 3 or 4 smaller ones running in the background. The goal was never to get rich quickly from a side income. It's to make sure that no single circumstance can ever fully control your financial life again. Rule 7. They measure wealth in time, not just dollars. This is the rule that changes everything else once it's understood. The average financial mindset treats money as something to accumulate for its own sake. A bigger number, a higher balance, a more impressive figure to eventually show someone. The wealthy tend to think about money differently, as a tool for buying back time and optionality. Every dollar invested isn't just a dollar, it's a small amount of future freedom. The ability to say no to a job that drains you, to take a month off without panic, to make decisions based on what you actually want, rather than what your bank account forces you into. This reframe changes behavior immediately. Suddenly, an impulsive purchase isn't just $200 spent. It's $200 worth of future freedom, permanently given up. That mental shift alone, treating money as stored time rather than stored stuff, is one of the most consistent traits found across genuinely wealthy, financially free individuals. Here's what ties all 7 of these rules together. None of them require a high income. None of them require insider knowledge, a finance degree, or some rare stroke of luck. They require a shift in operating system, a willingness to reorder priorities that most people never questioned in the first place. The 2 people from the beginning of this video, both earning $95,000, the difference between them was never talent, and it was never luck. It was 7 quiet decisions, repeated consistently, invisible to everyone around them, compounding silently in the background for a decade. That's the actual secret hiding in plain sight. There isn't one big move that builds wealth. There's a set of small, boring, repeatable ones, and the people who follow them rarely look like they're doing anything special at all. Let's go deeper on a few of these, because understanding why they work is what actually makes them stick. Going deeper. The real cost of waiting. Let's go back to those 2 people earning $95,000. The one who ends up with $600,000 after 10 years wasn't investing some enormous sum. In most of these real-world case studies, the difference comes down to something almost embarrassingly small. 15% to 20% of income invested automatically, left alone. The one who stays stuck isn't necessarily reckless. Often they're simply waiting for the right time to start investing. Waiting until the raise comes through, waiting until the debt is paid off, until the emergency fund feels big enough, until life feels a little less chaotic. Here's the problem with waiting. Time is the one variable in wealth building that can never be recovered. Money can be earned again. Opportunities can come back around. Time, once spent, is gone permanently, which is exactly why the wealthy treat starting early as more important than starting with a large amount. A person who invests $300 a month, starting at age 25, will, in almost every historical scenario, end up with more money by age 55 than a person who waits until 35 and then invests $600 a month, double the contribution, starting 10 years later. The first 10 years of compounding are doing work that no amount of catching up later can fully replace. This is the part almost nobody wants to hear because it removes the excuse of, "I'll start when I make more money." The math says otherwise. Starting small, starting now, beats starting big, starting later, almost every single time. The psychology behind why average earners stay stuck. It's worth pausing here to ask an honest question. If these 7 rules are genuinely this simple, why doesn't everyone follow them? The answer isn't intelligence. It isn't access to information. All of this is publicly available, free, searchable in seconds. The answer is psychological, and it's worth naming directly. Present bias. The human brain is wired to overweight immediate rewards and underweight future ones. A dollar spent today feels real and satisfying. A dollar invested today feels abstract, a number on a screen that won't matter for decades. This bias alone explains why so many financially capable people still struggle to save consistently, even when they fully understand the math. Social comparison. Humans are deeply wired to gauge their own progress relative to the people around them, not against some abstract, ideal version of their finances. When a coworker leases a new car, or a friend posts vacation photos, the pull to match that lifestyle is not a character flaw. It's an ancient survival instinct, misapplied to a modern economy built on visible consumption. Decision fatigue. The average adult makes hundreds of small financial decisions a week. What to order, what to buy, whether to upgrade something. Relying on willpower to make the right choice every single time is a losing strategy because willpower is a limited resource that depletes throughout the day. This is exactly why automation matters so much. The wealthy don't have more willpower than everyone else. They've simply engineered situations where willpower is rarely required. Understanding these three forces doesn't make them disappear, but naming them takes away some of their power, because it becomes possible to build systems specifically designed to work around them, rather than constantly fighting them head-on. Common mistakes versus the successful approach. It's useful to see these rules laid out side by side against the mistakes that quietly sabotage most people's progress. The common mistake: waiting to invest until debt is completely eliminated. The successful approach: paying down high-interest debt aggressively while still investing something, even a small percentage, so the compounding clock starts immediately rather than years later. The common mistake: treating a raise or bonus as extra spending money. The successful approach: directing a fixed percentage of every raise or bonus straight into investments before it ever touches a checking account. The common mistake: checking investment accounts daily and reacting emotionally to market movement. The successful approach: checking in quarterly at most and treating short-term volatility as background noise rather than a signal to act. The common mistake: viewing a single job as the only source of financial safety. The successful approach: building even one small secondary income stream, treating it as an insurance policy against the unpredictability of relying on a single employer. The common mistake: measuring financial progress by comparing lifestyle to friends, co-workers, or social media. The successful approach: measuring financial progress against your own numbers from a year ago, the only comparison that actually reflects real growth. None of this requires dramatic reinvention. It requires consistently choosing the second option in each pair, especially on the days when the first option feels easier. Why the wealthy rarely look wealthy. There's a pattern worth naming directly because it ties every one of these 7 rules together. The people who actually build lasting wealth are frequently the least visible about it. Research on self-made millionaires consistently finds the same thing. A majority live in modest homes, drive ordinary, often older vehicles, and would blend in seamlessly at any average neighborhood gathering. Meanwhile, a significant number of people who appear wealthy, luxury cars, designer wardrobes, expensive vacations documented constantly online, are often carrying substantial debt to maintain that appearance, with very little actually building underneath it. This isn't a coincidence. It's a direct consequence of the 7 rules above. Every dollar spent signaling wealth outwardly is a dollar that isn't compounding invisibly in the background. The 2 goals, looking wealthy and becoming wealthy, actively compete for the same limited resource, and most people, without realizing it, are choosing the first one by default, simply by not choosing anything at all. The upper 1% didn't necessarily set out to look ordinary. They set out to prioritize the invisible number over the visible one, and the ordinary appearance became a natural side effect of where their money was actually going. Here's what ties all 7 of these rules together. None of them require a high income. None of them require insider knowledge, a finance degree, or some rare stroke of luck. They require a shift in operating system, a willingness to reorder priorities that most people never questioned in the first place. The 2 people from the beginning of this video, both earning $95,000, the difference between them was never talent, and it was never luck. It was 7 quiet decisions, repeated consistently, invisible to everyone around them, compounding silently in the background for a decade. That's the actual secret hiding in plain sight. There isn't one big move that builds wealth. There's a set of small, boring, repeatable ones, and the people who follow them rarely look like they're doing anything special at all. If this video gave you a clearer picture of how real wealth actually gets built, hit subscribe. The Wealth Code breaks down exactly how money really works, every single week, without the hype and without the shortcuts. Drop a like if this one hit home, and let us know in the comments, which of these 7 rules are you already following, and which one do you need to start today? And if you want to go deeper on this, watch our video on what happens the moment someone quietly crosses their first million, because the rules don't stop mattering once you get there. They're what keeps you there. We'll see you in the next one.